Lisa Martinez sat at her desk in the space station that floated around the planet, Kepler 442b. She had been working as a communications officer for 3 years now. Most days were quiet, with only routine messages coming through her equipment. But today was different. The alarm on her computer started beeping loudly. A red light flashed on her screen. Lisa quickly put on her headset and listened carefully. What she heard made her blood run cold. "This is Colony Leaders X9 from Arcturus Prime. We are under attack. The Korthic Empire has invaded our world. They have destroyed our defense ships. They are killing our people and taking prisoners. We need help immediately. Please, anyone who can hear this message, we are dying." The voice was filled with fear and pain. Lisa had heard about the Zephyrians before. They were peaceful aliens who looked like tall, blue-skinned humans. They had 6 fingers on each hand and large silver eyes. The Zephyrians had been friends with humans for over 10 years. They had shared their farming technology with Earth, which helped humans grow food on many different planets. Lisa pressed a button on her desk. "Captain Morrison, you need to hear this right away." Jake Morrison was in his office when the call came through. He was a tall man with short black hair and scars on his face from old battles. He had been commanding ships in space for 15 years. When Lisa played the message for him, his face became very serious. "How many Zephyrians live on Arcturus Prime?" Jake asked. "About 3 billion, sir," Lisa replied. "The message came through 20 minutes ago. But it takes light 4 hours to travel from their planet to us. This attack might have started hours ago." Jake stood up quickly. "Contact Admiral Burke on Luna Command immediately. Tell her this is a Priority 1 emergency." Helen Burke was having lunch in her office when the message arrived. She was a short woman with gray hair and sharp green eyes. She had been an admiral for 12 years and had never lost a battle. When she heard the Zephyrian distress call, she threw her food in the trash and called her staff. "Get me all the fleet commanders right now," she ordered, "and wake up the president. We have a situation." Within an hour, the most important military leaders in human space were talking through video screens. They all looked worried. "The Korthic Empire has over 800 ships," said General Sam Tucker. "They are known for being cruel. They take prisoners and make them work as slaves in their mines. They have attacked 12 different worlds in the past 5 years. What do we have available?" Admiral Burke asked. "Task Force Reaper is ready to go," said Commander Ryan Clark. 12 of our best ships with full crews. We also have the Void Stalkers ready for action." The Void Stalkers were special soldiers who could fight in space without air. They wore special suits and had been changed by science to be stronger and faster than normal humans. Colonel Amy Fisher led them. She was a tough woman who had never failed a mission. "The Galactic Council will not like this," said Ambassador Kate Williams through the video screen. "They think humans are too violent. They will say we should not get involved." Admiral Burke made an angry face. "The Galactic Council sits in there. Safe buildings and talks while innocent people die. The Zephyrians are our friends. They helped us when we needed food for our colonies. Now they need our help." "What about the Korthic fleet size?" asked Jake Morrison. 800 ships is a lot." Dr. Nina Ross, the fleet's science officer, appeared on screen. She was a young woman with long brown hair and thick glasses. "The Korthic ships are old and slow. They use energy weapons that are not very strong, but they have many more ships than we do." "Numbers don't always win battles," said Admiral Burke. "Quality beats quantity. Ryan, get your people ready. We leave in 6 hours." Commander Ryan Clark nodded. "The Void Stalkers are already preparing. Colonel Fisher has been training them for this kind of mission for months." "What about weapons?" asked Admiral Burke. We have the new Hellfire missiles, said Dr. Ross. They use antimatter cores. Each missile can destroy a large ship completely. We have enough to take out their command vessels. Admiral Burke looked at everyone on the screens. Listen carefully. The Zephyrians saved millions of human lives by sharing their farming technology. Children on 50 human worlds eat food that grows because of what the Zephyrians taught us. We will not let these peaceful people die. She paused and looked directly at the camera. Prepare Task Force Reaper for immediate departure. Load all ships with maximum weapons and supplies. This is not just a rescue mission. This is a message to the galaxy that humans protect their friends. Jake Morrison smiled for the first time that day. What should I tell the crew? Tell them that some very bad aliens have hurt our friends, Admiral Burke replied. Tell them that we are going to show these aliens what happens when they mess with people under human protection. The video call ended, and everyone began preparing for war. On ships throughout the human fleet, sailors and soldiers got ready for battle. They cleaned their weapons, checked their equipment, and said goodbye to their families. Lisa Martinez watched the big ships begin to move through her telescope. She had started the day thinking it would be boring. Now she knew that history was about to be made. The most powerful fleet humans had ever built was going to war, and the galaxy would never be the same. The space around Earth's moon was usually quiet, but today it looked like a storm was coming. 12 massive ships floated in formation, each one longer than a city block. These were the most dangerous warships humans had ever built. Admiral Danny Torres stood on the bridge of the HMS Devastator, the largest ship in the fleet. He was a big man with a thick black beard and cold blue eyes. Other officers called him the Butcher of Proxima because he had destroyed an entire pirate fleet without losing a single human life. All ships report ready for departure, said Lieutenant Commander Carlos Stone. He was a young officer with short red hair who had joined the fleet only 2 years ago. But he was very good at his job. Good, Admiral Torres replied. Open a channel to all ships. The communication officer pressed some buttons, and Danny's voice went out to all 12 ships. This is Admiral Torres speaking. We are going to save our friends, the Zephyrians. The enemy has more ships than us, but we have better weapons, better training, and most importantly, we are fighting for something good. The Korthic Empire thinks they can hurt innocent people without consequences. Today, we will show them they are wrong. Dr. Nina Ross walked onto the bridge carrying a computer tablet. She looked worried. Admiral, I have the latest intelligence about the Korthic fleet. What do you have for me, Doctor? They have 812 ships surrounding Arcturus. Prime. Most of them are old cruisers and destroyers. But they also have 24 battleships and 1 command ship that is very large. Admiral Torres studied the information on her tablet. What about their weapons? They use plasma cannons and energy torpedoes. The plasma cannons can hurt our ships if they hit us many times, but our shields should protect us from most of their attacks. The energy torpedoes are slow and easy to shoot down. Any good news, Doctor? Dr. Ross smiled a little. Their ships are not very fast, and they use old computer systems. Our electronic warfare systems should be able to confuse them easily. Down in the ship's armory, Master Sergeant Beth Parker was training her Marine soldiers. She was a tough woman with short black hair and many scars on her arms from old battles. Her soldiers respected her because she always kept them alive. Listen up, Marines, she shouted. We are going to board enemy ships and take them over. The Korthic soldiers are bigger than humans, but they are slow and stupid. They fight like animals, not like trained soldiers. Use your speed and your brains to beat them. Private First Class Johnny Lee raised his hand. Sergeant, what if there are too many of them? Then you kill them faster, Beth replied. Remember your training. Stay together. Watch your buddies. Back and never give up. These aliens hurt innocent people. We are going to make them pay for it. In another part of the ship, Colonel Amy Fisher was checking her Void Stalker equipment. The Void Stalkers were special soldiers who could fight. In space without air. They wore black suits that looked like armor and had small rockets on their backs. Colonel, all teams are ready, said Captain Rick Martinez. He was Amy's second in command, a quiet man who never smiled but always got the job done. Good. Remember, our job is to get inside their command ship and capture their leader. Intelligence says the Korthek commander is on the biggest ship in their fleet. If we can take him alive, we can make the rest of his fleet surrender. Amy looked at her 24 soldiers. Each one was the best of the best. They had been changed by science to be stronger and faster than normal humans. They could see in the dark, hold their breath for an hour, and heal from wounds very quickly. The Korthek think they are the strongest species in the galaxy. Amy said, "Today, we will show them what real strength looks like." On the bridge, Lieutenant Commander Carlos Stone was loading the special weapons. The Hellfire missiles were kept in a secure part of the ship because they were so dangerous. Each missile contained antimatter, a type of energy that could destroy almost anything. How many Hellfire missiles do we have? Asked Admiral Torres. 48 missiles across the entire fleet, Carlos replied. Each one can destroy a battleship completely. We also have regular missiles and plasma cannons. Save the Hellfire missiles for their biggest ships, the Admiral ordered. We want to end this fight quickly. Intelligence Officer Tony Garcia was listening to enemy radio messages. He spoke several alien languages and was very good at breaking secret codes. Admiral, I am hearing something interesting from the Korthek fleet. What is it? They are planning to start moving Zephyrian prisoners to their slave ships tomorrow. They want to take the strongest ones to work in their mines. They are also planning to destroy the Zephyrian cities to make room for their own colonies. Admiral Torres felt angry. How long until we reach Arcturus Prime? 6 days at maximum speed, replied the navigation officer. That might be too late for many of the Zephyrians, Dr. Ross said quietly. Then we will make the Korthek pay for every life they take, Admiral Torres said with a cold voice. The fleet began moving toward the edge of the solar system, where they would jump to hyperspace. The ships moved in perfect formation, like a pack of wolves hunting dangerous prey. On Earth, billions of people watched the news about the fleet's departure. Some people were scared that humans were going to fight such a large enemy force. Others were proud that humans were helping their friends. President Sarah Johnson gave a speech on television. Today, our brave soldiers are going to save the Zephyrians from an evil enemy. This is not a war for territory or resources. This is a war to protect innocent people from those who would hurt them. We fight not because we want to, but because we must. In the fleet, the soldiers prepared for battle. They cleaned their weapons, checked their equipment, and wrote letters to their families. Many of them knew that some would not come home, but they were ready to fight for what was right. Commander Steve Johnson, the fleet's sensor specialist, was a quiet man who rarely spoke, but he was very good at finding enemy ships. Admiral, our sensors are ready. When we reach Arcturus Prime, we will know exactly where every enemy ship is located. Excellent. What about our stealth systems? The Korthek sensors are old and weak. We should be able to get close to their fleet before they detect us. Admiral Torres smiled. The Korthek Empire was about to learn a very painful lesson about what happened when they hurt humanity's friends. Space around Arcturus Prime looked like a dark cloud of metal and fire. Hundreds of gray Korthek ships surrounded the beautiful blue and green planet. The alien invaders had been there for 6 days, and black smoke was rising from the planets. Cities. Admiral Danny Torres stood on the bridge of the HNS Devastator as his fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the star system. The human ships appeared suddenly, like ghosts materializing from nothing. "All sensors active," ordered Commander Steve Johnson. "I want to know exactly what we are facing." The main screen showed the enemy fleet. The Korthik ships were ugly and blocky, painted in dark colors. They looked like floating fortresses rather than elegant spacecraft. Most of them were positioned in a ring around the planet, with the largest ships closest to the surface. "Enemy fleet analysis complete," reported Dr. Nina Ross. 815 ships total. One count 24 battleships, 100, and 47 cruisers, and the rest are destroyers and support vessels. Their command ship is in high orbit above the planet's largest city. Admiral Torres studied the display. "What about their formations?" "They are arranged in a defensive pattern, but it has weaknesses," said Commander Steve Johnson. "Their ships are too spread out to support each other effectively. If we hit them hard and fast, we can break through their lines." "Perfect. Implement Wolf Pack Protocol. All ships break into attack groups." The human fleet split into 3 groups. Captain Julia Henderson took 4 ships to attack the outer ring of enemy vessels. Captain Rick Martinez led another group, too. Hit the orbital defense platforms. Admiral Torres kept the remaining ships with him for the main assault. "All ships, this is Admiral Torres. The Korthik have hurt our friends long enough. Show them what happens when they mess with people under." Human protection. Attack. The battle began with a brilliant flash of light. The first Hellfire missiles launched from the human ships, streaking across space like miniature stars. When they hit the Korthik vessels, entire ships disappeared in explosions of white-hot energy. "Direct hits on 3 enemy battleships," reported Lieutenant Commander Carlos Stone. "All targets destroyed." The Korthik fleet was caught completely by surprise. Their old sensors had not detected the human ships until the attack began. Now they scrambled to respond, but it was already too late. Captain Julia Henderson's group smashed into the outer ring of enemy ships like a hammer hitting glass. The human vessels were smaller, but much faster than the Korthik ships. They moved between the enemy formations, firing their weapons with deadly accuracy. "Enemy cruiser attempting to escape," reported one of Julia's officers. "Not today," Julia replied. "All ships, focus fire on that cruiser." The Korthik ship tried to run, but it was too slow. Plasma cannons from 3 human ships hit it at the same time, tearing it apart in seconds. Meanwhile, Colonel Amy Fisher and her Void Stalkers were preparing for the most dangerous part of the mission. They had to get inside the enemy command ship and capture the Korthik leader. "Stealth ships are ready," reported Captain Rick Martinez. "We can get the Void Stalkers close to the command ship without being detected." "Do it," ordered Admiral Torres. "Amy." Fisher and her 24 soldiers climbed into small, black spacecraft that were almost invisible to enemy sensors. These stealth ships were very fast and could dodge enemy fire easily. "Remember, we need their commander alive," Amy told her. Soldiers as they flew toward the massive Korthik command ship. "Kill anyone who tries to stop us, but bring me their leader." The stealth ships attached to the hull of the enemy command ship like space parasites. Amy's soldiers used special cutting tools to make holes in the ship's armor. Then they climbed. Inside, ready for battle. The inside of the Korthik ship was dark and dirty. The air smelled bad, and the walls were covered with strange symbols. Amy's soldiers moved through the corridors like shadows, their enhanced senses helping them avoid enemy guards. "Contact front," whispered Sergeant Dan Cooper through the radio. 4 Korthik soldiers coming this way. The Korthik soldiers were big and ugly, with gray skin and 4 arms each. They carried energy weapons that looked like clubs, but they were slow and clumsy compared to the human soldiers. Amy's team struck without warning. The enhanced humans moved so fast that the Korthic soldiers did not have time to react. Within seconds, all 4 aliens were unconscious on the floor. "Bridge is 2 levels up," Amy said. "Stay quiet and stay together." Back in space, the battle was turning into a massacre. The human ships were destroying Korthic vessels faster than the aliens could respond. The enemy's plasma cannons could barely scratch the advanced human shields, while every shot from a human weapon found its target. "Enemy formation is breaking apart," reported Commander Steve Johnson. "They are trying to retreat. Don't let any of them escape," Admiral Torres ordered. "Commander Kelly Brooks, take your pursuit squadrons and hunt down the runners." Kelly Brooks was a young officer who had joined the fleet only 6 months ago, but she was an excellent pilot. Her squadron of fast attack ships chased the fleeing Korthic vessels like wolves chasing rabbits. "This is Brooks to all pursuit ships. Target the enemy engines first. We want them dead in space." The human fighters moved through the enemy formation like deadly dancers. They were too fast for the Korthic weapons to hit, but their own shots never missed. One by one, the fleeing enemy ships stopped moving as their engines exploded. On the Korthok command ship, Amy Fisher and her soldiers had reached the bridge. The alien commander was a huge creature with 6 arms and a face like a lizard. He was shouting orders at his crew in a language that sounded like animals growling. "That's our target," Amy whispered to her soldiers. "Remember, we need him alive." The Void Stalkers burst onto the bridge like a storm of violence. The Korthic crew tried to fight back, but they were no match for the enhanced humans. Within minutes, the entire bridge was under human control. Amy grabbed the enemy commander by his throat. "You are going to order your fleet to surrender," she said in the Korthic language. "If you refuse, my friends outside will destroy every single one of your ships." The alien commander looked at Amy with hatred in his yellow eyes. "Humans are weak. We do not surrender to weak species." Amy smiled coldly. "We will see about that." She dragged the commander to the communication console and forced him to watch as the human fleet destroyed his ships. In less than 4 hours, over 600 Korthic vessels had been turned into floating wreckage. "Still think humans are weak?" Amy asked. The commander's face showed fear for the first time. "What do you want?" "Order your remaining ships to surrender immediately. If you do not, we will destroy them all, and then hunt down every Korthic world in the galaxy." The alien commander looked at the tactical display. Only 50 of his ships were still fighting, and they were losing badly. He had no choice. "All Korthic ships, this is Fleet Commander Grix 7. Ceasefire and surrender to the human fleet." The few remaining enemy ships stopped shooting and powered down their weapons. The Battle of Arcturus Prime was over. Admiral Torres opened a communication channel to the entire Korthic Empire. "This is Admiral Torres of the Human Defense Fleet. You attacked our friends. You have paid the price. If any Korthic ship ever threatens innocent people again, we will find you and destroy you completely. This is your only warning." The message was broadcast across the galaxy, and every species heard it. The humans had just destroyed the largest fleet in Korthic history in less than 4 hours. The balance of power in the galaxy had changed forever. The blue and green planet of Arcturus Prime looked peaceful from space, but the scars of war were visible everywhere. Black smoke rose from damaged cities, and the orbital defense stations were nothing but floating debris. The Korthic invasion had lasted only 6 days, but it had caused terrible damage. Dr. Peter Wright stood on the bridge of the medical ship HMS Mercy as it approached the planet. He was a tall, thin man with gray hair who had spent 20 years treating wounded soldiers. But nothing had prepared him for what he was about to see. "Medical teams to stations," he announced through the ship's communication system. "We have 3 billion people who need our help." The first shuttles landed in the capital city of New Zephyr, where the Korthic forces had built their main prisoner camp. Captain Monica Baker led the ground troops that secured the landing zone. She was a tough woman who had served in the Marines for 10 years. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Paul Garcia as he saw the prison camp. What did they do to these people? Zephyrians were peaceful aliens who looked like tall, thin humans with blue skin and silver eyes. They had always been gentle and kind, preferring to grow food and create art rather than fight wars. Now they huddled in dirty cages, many of them injured and all of them terrified. "Get the medical teams down here immediately," Monica ordered, "and bring food and water. These people are starving." Dr. Wright arrived with the first medical team. He knelt beside a young Zephyrian child who was crying for her parents. The little girl had large silver eyes filled with tears, and her blue skin was covered with bruises. "It's okay," Dr. Wright said softly in the Zephyrian language. "The bad aliens are gone. We are here to help you." The child looked at him with wonder. "Are you the humans who saved us?" "Yes, we are. You are safe now." Dr. Wright worked alongside Zephyrian doctors to treat the wounded. The Zephyrians were amazing healers who could fix injuries that would take human doctors weeks to cure. But even they were overwhelmed by the number of people who needed help. "Doctor, you need to see this," called Nurse Linda Martinez from across the medical camp. She was standing next to a building that the Korthic had used as a processing center. Dr. Wright followed her inside and stopped in horror. The building was filled with machines designed to sort people like cargo. The Korthic had been separating, families sending the strongest Zephyrians to work as slaves and leaving the weak ones to die. How many people did they process? Dr. Wright asked. According to their records, over 2 million Zephyrians were scheduled for transport to slave camps, Linda replied. They were going to ship them out tomorrow. Meanwhile, intelligence specialist Lara Davis was questioning the captured Korthic. "Commander." Fleet Commander Grix 7 was a huge alien with gray skin and 6 arms. He sat in a chair that was too small for him, his yellow eyes filled with hatred. "This invasion was just a test," he said in broken English. The Korthic Empire wanted to see if humans would really fight for their alien friends. "Well, now you know," Lara replied. "What was the real plan? If humans had done nothing, we would have invaded 20 more worlds that are friends with. We would have enslaved them all and made humans watch." Lavra felt angry, but she kept her voice calm. "How many ships does your empire have?" "Thousands. This fleet was just a small part of our military. When our leaders hear about this defeat, they will send a real army to destroy all human worlds." Lavra smiled coldly. "Your leaders are about to receive a very interesting message." Admiral Danny Torres was recording a message to be broadcast throughout the Korthic Empire. He stood in front of the wreckage of their destroyed fleet, his face hard as stone. "I am Admiral Torres of the Human Defense Fleet. Your invasion of Arcturus Prime was a mistake. Your fleet of 800 ships has been destroyed. Only 50 of your vessels survived, and they are now our prisoners." He paused and looked directly at the camera. "You said this was a test of human resolve. You have your answer. If any Korthic ship ever attacks innocent people again, we will find your home worlds and turn them into ash. This is not a threat. This is a promise." The message was transmitted to every Korthic world in the galaxy. Within ours, the alien empire's government was in chaos. Their military leaders could not believe that their strongest fleet had been destroyed so easily. Back on Arcturus Prime, the rescue efforts continued. Master Sergeant Beth Parker was leading teams of soldiers through the damaged cities, looking for survivors. They found thousands of Zephyrians hiding in basements and ruins, too scared to come out. "It's okay," Beth told a group of frightened civilians. "The Korthik are gone. We are here to take you to safety." An elderly Zephyrian male stepped forward. His name was Elder Zik 12, and he was one of the leaders of the colony. "Human warriors, we owe you our lives. How can we ever repay you?" "You don't need to repay us," Beth replied. "You are our friends. Friends help each other." The old alien's silver eyes filled with tears. "The Korthik said that humans would not come to save us. They said we were alone. They were wrong. Humans never abandon their friends." News of the victory spread quickly throughout the galaxy. On dozens of worlds, alien species that had been afraid of the Korthik Empire began to celebrate. The humans had proven that bullies could be defeated, but not everyone was happy. The Galactic Council met in emergency session to discuss the human victory. Many of the council members were worried about humanity's growing military power. "The humans used excessive force," complained Counselor Vex Prime, a tall alien with tentacles instead of arms. "They destroyed over 700 ships. This was genocide." Ambassador Kate Williams stood up to address the council. She was a small woman with short brown hair, but her voice was strong and clear. "Genocide is what the Korthik were doing to the Zephyrians. We stopped them. If you have a problem with that, maybe you should ask yourselves why you did nothing to help." "The humans are becoming too powerful," said another council member. "They are a threat to galactic peace. We are a threat to those who hurt innocent people," Kate replied. "If that bothers you, perhaps you should examine your own consciences." The debate continued for hours, but the humans did not care what the council thought. They had more important work to do. On Arcturus Prime, the reconstruction was beginning. Human engineers worked alongside Zephyrians to rebuild the damaged cities. The aliens' advanced farming technology was combined with human construction methods to create something better than before. Colonel Amy Fisher was preparing to leave the planet with her Void Stalkers. The mission was complete, but she knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was full of species that preyed on the weak, and humanity would need to be ready to fight them. "Colonel, we are receiving messages from dozens of worlds," reported Captain Rick Martinez. "They are all asking for human protection." Amy nodded. "Get me a meeting with Admiral Burke. I think we are going to need a bigger fleet." The Battle of Arcturus Prime had ended, but its effects would be felt throughout the galaxy for years to come. The humans had announced themselves as the defenders of the innocent, and everyone was watching to see what they would do next. 3 months had passed since the Battle of Arcturus Prime, and the galaxy was a different place. The victory had changed everything. Species that had never heard of humans before knew them as the people who had destroyed the mighty Korthik. Fleet in less than 4 hours. Ambassador Kate Williams stood before the Galactic Council in their great hall on the planet Nexus Prime. The hall was enormous, with representatives from over 200 different species sitting in circular rows. Some looked like humans, others were completely alien, with tentacles, multiple eyes, or bodies made of living crystal. "Honored members of the Council," Kate began, "I am here to announce humanity's new policy regarding galactic security." The Council members whispered among themselves. Many of them were nervous about what the humans might say. The destruction of the Korthik fleet had shown that humanity possessed military power beyond anything previously imagined. "We call it the Protective Intervention Doctrine," Kate continued. "Any species that commits genocide, enslaves sentient beings, or attacks innocent worlds will face immediate military response from the Human Defense Fleet." Counselor Vex Prime, the tall alien with tentacles, stood up. "This is unacceptable. Humans cannot be the police of the galaxy. You are just one species among many." Kate looked at him calmly. "You are right. We are just one species. But we are the only species that seems willing to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Where was the Galactic Council when the Korthik were enslaving the Zephyrians? The Council does not interfere in local conflicts, replied another member. Then the Council is useless, Kate said bluntly. From now on, humanity will do what the Council should have been doing all along. The debate that followed was heated, but Kate did not care. The humans had made their decision, and they would stick to it regardless of what anyone else thought. Meanwhile, on the planet Arcturus Prime, the Zephyrians were rebuilding their world with human help. The grateful aliens had shared their most advanced technology with humanity, including their breakthrough in faster-than-light communication systems. Dr. Nina Ross was working with Zephyrian scientists to understand the new technology. This is incredible, she said to Elder Zek 12. With this system, we can communicate instantly across the entire galaxy. It is our gift to you, the old Zephyrian replied. You saved our people. Now we want to help you save others. The new communication system allowed Admiral Helen Burke to coordinate with human forces across the galaxy from her command center on Luna. She could now talk to any human ship or base anywhere in known space without delay. Admiral, we have received 47 requests for protection packs in the past month, reported Commander Ryan Clark. Species from every corner of the galaxy want human military support. Helen studied the list of requests. What about our fleet capacity? We are building as fast as we can. The new shipyards at Jupiter are producing one warship every 2 weeks. But it will take years to build enough ships to protect everyone who wants our help. Then we need to be smart about it, Helen replied. Focus on the most vulnerable worlds first, and start training allied species to defend themselves. General Sam Tucker was overseeing the construction of human military bases throughout the galaxy. The bases served as both defensive positions and supply depots for human ships. The first base was built in the Arcturus system, right next to the Zephyrian homeworld. The base will be operational in 6 months, he reported to Admiral Burke. We will have enough ships and supplies there to defend 50 star systems. Good. What about the other locations? We are negotiating with 12 different species for base rights. Most of them are eager to have human protection. Not all species were happy about humanity's growing influence. The Korthik Empire had descended into civil war after their defeat. Their military leaders blamed each other for the disaster, and several border systems had declared independence. Intelligence Officer Tony Garcia was monitoring the situation from his office on Luna. The Korthik are tearing themselves apart, he reported. 3 different factions are fighting for control of their government. Any threat to us? Asked Admiral Burke. Not at the moment. They are too busy fighting each other to threaten anyone else. But some of their breakaway systems are asking for human protection. Interesting. The people who used to be their slaves want us to protect them from their former masters. Meanwhile, Colonel Amy Fisher was training a new generation of soldiers. The Galactic Protection Corps was humanity's elite unit, dedicated to defending vulnerable species across the galaxy. The first graduating class included soldiers from 12 different worlds. Today you become more than soldiers, Amy told the graduates. You become protectors of the innocent. Remember that every life you save makes the galaxy a better place. The graduation ceremony was attended by representatives from over 50 different species. They had all come to see humanity's promise in action, but humanity's greatest challenge was yet to come. Deep space monitoring stations began detecting strange signals from the direction of the Andromeda galaxy. The signals were faint and distorted, but they carried a message of desperate fear. Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral, was the first to hear the complete message. He sat in his office aboard the new flagship HNS Guardian, listening to the transmission with growing alarm. This is Emergency Beacon 7 from the Andromeda Defense League, the message said. An ancient evil has awakened in the galactic core. It consumes entire star systems, turning them into nothing but empty space. We have lost contact with over 1,000 worlds. The Devourers are coming. Anyone who receives this message, please help us. Jake immediately contacted Admiral Burke. Helen, we have a problem. A big one. What is it, Jake? Something is destroying entire star systems in the Andromeda Galaxy. They are calling for help. Admiral Burke was quiet for a long moment. How far away is Andromeda? 2.5 million light years. It would take our fastest ship 6 months to get there, even with the new hyperspace drives. That's assuming we can even make the journey. No one has ever traveled between galaxies before. Dr. Nina Ross was called in to study the message. She worked for 3 days straight, analyzing every detail of the transmission. When she finally emerged from her laboratory, she looked exhausted but excited. The technology that sent this message is incredibly advanced, she reported. But I think I can modify our hyperspace engines to make the journey possible. How long would it take? Asked Admiral Burke. 4 months, maybe 5. But we would need to build special ships designed for intergalactic travel. The decision was not easy. Humanity was still building their defenses in the Milky Way galaxy. They had responsibilities to dozens of species that depended on human protection. But the message from Andromeda was impossible to ignore. President Sarah Johnson called an emergency meeting of the Global Defense Council. Representatives from every human world participated in the video conference. We are being asked to help people we have never met in a galaxy we have never seen, she said. The journey is dangerous, and we might not be able to return home. But if we don't go, an entire galaxy might die, replied Senator Mike Davis from the Mars colony. We cannot ignore a call for help, no matter how far away it comes from. The debate lasted for hours, but in the end, the decision was unanimous. Humanity would answer the call from Andromeda. Admiral Jake Morrison was chosen to lead the expedition. He selected the best ships and the most experienced crews for the mission. The fleet would consist of 20 vessels, including the mighty HNS Guardian. As the fleet prepared for departure, messages of support came from across the galaxy. The Zephyrians provided advanced food production systems for the long journey. The crystal beings of Vega Prime donated their energy storage technology. Even some former enemies offered help. The galaxy is watching, Admiral Burke told Jake before his departure. If you succeed, you will prove that humanity truly is the guardian of innocent life everywhere. Jake stood on the bridge of the Guardian as his fleet moved toward the edge of the Milky Way galaxy. Behind them, the lights of 1 billion stars grew smaller. Ahead lay the vast darkness between galaxies, and beyond that, a threat unlike anything humanity had ever faced. All ships report ready for intergalactic jump, reported Commander Steve Johnson. Then let's go save another galaxy, Jake replied. With a grim smile, the human fleet disappeared into hyperspace, beginning a journey that would take them farther from home than any human had ever traveled. They did not know what they would find in Andromeda, but they knew that innocent people were dying and needed help. Back in the Milky Way, construction began on humanity's first intergalactic shipyard. It would build vessels capable of traveling between galaxies, ensuring that humanity could respond to threats anywhere in the universe. The age of human expansion had begun. No longer were they confined to one galaxy. They had become the protectors of all life everywhere. And wherever innocent people called for help, human ships would answer. The galaxy watched and waited for news from the expedition. Some species were afraid of what the humans might find in Andromeda. Others were proud to call humanity their friends and protectors. But everyone agreed on one thing. The universe was a safer place because humans existed. The